This is the Louie Tee Network.
Who else could it be? Me, your man, Louie Tee. Welcome to Lockdown Coverage, week number 14 in the National Football League. Buffalo Bills at home taking on the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I've been talking about this late season run coming for the Steelers. They got a couple of nice cupcakes after the 4-game losing streak to get them back on track. They took care of those. Then the game started to get a little tougher. No Andrew Luck, kind of gave them a pass on Thanksgiving as they continued to kind of move ahead, get the big win over the Giants. Now a tough road game late in the season. You know it's going to be cold in Buffalo, throwing a little snow. Anything can happen, right? Right? Wrong. We're going to jump into this breakdown here in a second. Before we get to anything, make sure you subscribe to the Louie Tee Network. If you haven't already done so, what are you waiting on? Seriously, go ahead, hit that subscribe button. Louie Tee Network, become a member. We're changing the game over here. I want you to help us do that. Also, I'm on Twitter. @InTheLabRoom is the Twitter handle. Go ahead, follow me on Twitter. And I'm also on Facebook. In the Lab Room is the Facebook page. All of my social media platforms, right in the screen up above, scrolling across. You can't miss them. Go ahead, handle that. Now, let's jump into this breakdown quickly. We want to talk about both teams. We're going to start with the victors in this game, and that's, of course, the Pittsburgh Steelers getting it done 27-20. This game was not as close as the score indicates. The Steelers dominated this game. Despite having 3 Ben Roethlisberger interceptions in this game, the Steelers dominated this football game on the ground in conditions like this, heavy snow throughout. You got to be able to run the football. This is the time of the year where running the football benefits your team, and the Steelers ran it. And this was the Le'Veon Bell, L.Bell show. We'll talk about him here in a second, but let's talk about the Steelers in this game. The first thing that I wanted to talk about was Le'Veon Bell, but I'm going to push him to the back because he was so dominant in this game. I'm going to spend at least 3 to 5 minutes talking about him. So let's talk about everything else that occurred in this game. I thought there was a big challenge in this game by Mike Tomlin. Early catch by Sammy Watkins that wasn't a catch. He challenges it. It was on a 3rd down. It was overturned. Those are the type of plays in a game like this where, you don't know how many possessions you're going to get. You don't want to give the other team any momentum. They're at home. Again, you never know what a drive is going to amount to after getting a first down. Anything can happen. The very next play could be a touchdown, 80-yard, or 30-yard, or 70-yard, whatever. Could be a touchdown. You just don't know. Him challenging that, getting it overturned, forcing the Bills to punt, keeping them out of an offensive rhythm. They were never in a rhythm for the first 3 quarters of this game. Really, they didn't get into a rhythm until it was too late at the end of the game when the Steelers had basically said, all right, we've won this game. You can have what you want as long as you don't do it quickly. So that was a really good challenge by Mike Tomlin. Ben Roethlisberger struggled in this game. At one point, after the second pick, really after the first pick, I was saying, hey, look, what are we doing here? Give it to L.Bell. He was hot early in this game. You saw it on the first possession. You saw it on the second possession. Like this guy, some of these moves he was doing, the patience that he exuded in this game, some of the runs he had with the patience that he was showing, you're like, this is insane. There was a catch where he runs into the pile. Like, okay, he's not getting anything. And he kind of jukes. You know what he does, kind of that jump, hop, step, kind of shimmer and that little shake and that kind of just waiting. And then boom, he darts out of the other side of the pile. You're like, wow. And all the cutbacks in this game, it's so slippery. Guys are just running by him. He's spinning. He's breaking tackles. He was phenomenal in this game. I'm like, why are you even throwing a football with Ben in this game? And then after the second one, I'm like, stop throwing the football. And then the last interception in the end zone to Zach Brown, I'm like, what are you doing? Stop throwing the football with Ben Roethlisberger in this game. He's making too many mistakes. You're killing these guys on the ground. Why would you? Look, this would have been the Fitzgerald Toussaint show and the Le'Veon Bell show. This would have been the Le'Veon Bell show featuring Fitzgerald Toussaint, okay? This would have been ground and pound at its greatest. Luckily enough for the Bills, there was no old man Williams in this game. If D'Angelo Williams is healthy, I don't know if Ben Roethlisberger has over 20 attempts in this game. There was no reason to throw this football in this game because of how the Steelers dominated on the ground. And maybe some of that was the patience of Le'Veon Bell. Speaking of which, man, this guy is an animal. He came into the game needing 183 yards to eclipse 1,000 yards rushing on the season. He got 238 in this game, almost 300 yards of total offense if you add in the receiving yards. This guy was a one-man wrecking crew, scored all 3 of the Steelers' touchdowns in this game. He was masterful. The patience that he showed in this game should be put on a highlight reel. The amount of missed tackles in this game, shameful on the part of the Bills, but you have to give credit to Le'Veon Bell. Slippery conditions, and this guy just used it to his advantage. He was never in a rush in this game. I think that was the key. He never fully put his foot on the gas pedal. When he got the football, hesitation, find a little bit of a crease, and then take off. And the Bills just simply had no answer. They didn't penetrate well. They didn't get off blocks well, which allowed him to hesitate, and then hit the hole when it finally appeared. He was just outstanding. I've never seen a back do what he did in this game in terms of the level of patience shown and how many guys he made miss after showing that patience. I've never seen that. Normally in a game like this where a back has over 200 yards, they're hitting a hole full steam ahead, and they're running and they're gashing a team that's loading up the box, 8 guys, 9 guys in the box. They hit a seam and they go for 70 yards on a play. That wasn't the case in this game. Le'Veon Bell controlled this game along with the Pittsburgh Steelers offensive line by simply being patient, and the Bills just couldn't do anything about it. And it was fun to watch. In a game in this day and age in the NFL where the passing game dominates week in, week out, we see all these teams throwing for over 300 and 400 yards and, all these guys catching passes. To see a team bludgeoned to death with the run game in the snow, no less, was a lot of fun to watch. Steelers dominate this game behind the 238 yards rushing on the ground by Le'Veon Bell. Ben Roethlisberger struggled in this game. 3 interceptions, like I said, but when you run it as well as they did, and the defense played as well as they did for about 3 3/4 quarters, you're going to win most games despite the turnovers in this game. You go to the Buffalo Bills, and let me start with the Bills before we go back to the Steelers. I didn't like the way this game started. And I'm talking about before they actually hit the field. All the off the field, leaks. Oh, Tyrod Taylor may be benched in favor of Cardale Jones. Oh, the Bills don't know if they want to extend Tyrod Taylor or not. He may not be back next year. They owe him X amount of guaranteed dollars next year if he's on the roster. Oh, Rex Ryan could be fired as soon as tomorrow. It's too many stories coming out of Buffalo before this game. That is a sign of dysfunction in your organization. When all of those leaks, there were like 4 or 5 different storylines going into the game with this Buffalo Bills team before they even hit the field. You can't concentrate like that. And this is not like this team came into this game at 4-8. They're 6-6. Now, granted, a long shot to make the postseason, but still an outside shot. And all of those rumors swirling around this team and surrounding them is like a black cloud hanging over them. They had no chance going into this game. But Lorenzo Alexander gets an interception on one of the early possessions in the game. I want to say it was the first possession of the game. As a matter of fact, they were moving it down the field with L.A.B. I don't know why they decided to throw it, but Ben is picked off. You get another pick from Stephon Gilmore, and they actually get a touchdown off of that. And Sammy Watkins gets into the end zone, and now all of a sudden it's 14-7. Bills are right back in this game. But to me, the offense killed them in this game. The run defense was atrocious. It was an atrocity in this game. And then you had a penalty in the game. Field goal attempt for the Steelers. You don't know if they're going to make or miss it. It's a really bad day in terms of conditions for kicking. And it's 4th and 5, and Adolphus Washington is offsides. I don't even really know what to say. Words can't express, as a coach, how upset I would be at something so easy to do. Just line up on the right side of the ball. Don't give them a fresh set. But in any event, bottom line is the Bills aren't a good offensive football team. That's the problem with this team. Defensively, they had a bad day, and the snow may have had something to do with that, but they had a bad day stopping the run. But they got turnovers. They gave this team a chance offensively, and Tyrod Taylor has been, I feel like he's regressed really badly this season. Like, I've been really disappointed in his play. I was so excited about him coming into this season, been really disappointed. And you could blame some of the different things that have transpired this year, lack of weapons on the outside. There are no receivers in Buffalo right now. Sammy Watkins just came back, 2 weeks ago. There aren't many targets out there and he's been dealing with no targets all season long, basically. It's rough on him, but even when guys are open, he's not hitting them. with the type of accuracy, with the level of accuracy that we saw last season, it's been a little frustrating. And I think that's why the Bills are a little frustrated, and to the point now where they're ready to make a change potentially. But to have all of these things leak out into the media before the game starts, I'm just not a fan of that. But the run defense was shoddy in this game. The offense was horrible for most of this game. Like I said, the score doesn't really indicate how lopsided this game was. It was 24-7. Then it was 27 to 13, I believe, at one point. I mean, this game wasn't really as close as the score indicates. The Bills were dominated in this game. The Steelers controlled the tempo, the pace, time of possession, everything. Bills couldn't sustain offense, so that didn't help their defense, who was gassed from being gashed on the day. So thorough ass whooping, handed out by the Steelers. And this is the type of win you need late in the season on the road in snowy, cold conditions. You got to be able to run the football, and the Steelers did that, and they did it with great effectiveness and efficiency in this game. As they get it done 27-20, Steelers move to 8-5, take sole possession of first place. We'll see what happens on Monday night with the Ravens on the road taking on Tom Brady and the Patriots in Foxborough. That's going to be a game that all Steelers fans and players, coaches alike will be watching with great intent to see what happens there. If the Ravens don't get it done, Steelers will then assume the first place position in the AFC North. Right now they have it, but only pending a loss by the Ravens will they remain there by themselves. We'll see what happens. They've got that huge, to me, it's going to come down to that huge Christmas night matchup, or Christmas Day matchup, I should say, in Pittsburgh at Heinz Field between the Ravens and the Steelers. That's probably going to determine the winner of this division. For the Bills, it's so dysfunctional there now. We don't know what's going to happen with Rex come Monday. He could get fired. He may be retained until the end of the season. If they're talking about firing this man potentially as soon as tomorrow, even if he's not canned tomorrow, most likely he's not going to make it after the season is over. There's a lot of things that need to change in Buffalo. I don't know if Rex is one of them. Maybe he is, maybe he isn't. But I tell you this much. They've got too many things going on in there right now, and they need to start to kind of patch some things up. And maybe it starts at the top. Maybe it starts with your GM, Doug Whaley. Maybe it starts with Rex Ryan as a head coach. Maybe Tyrod Taylor doesn't need to be back. I don't know. There are a lot of questions, not enough answers in Buffalo right now. But I didn't like the dysfunction before the game, and I didn't think the performance was that far off from the dysfunction that I saw coming into this game. So they dropped to 6-7, and for all intents and purposes, they're done in the playoff race with this loss, dropping them to 6-7 on the season. So let's get to a couple of your comments. Or Ben Glafford is talking about Tannehill hurt on a cheap shot. Haven't seen it yet, but we'll definitely talk about that when I break down Dolphins and Cardinals. DG Production says Dirty Bird update. I'm watching that game as we speak, so I'll break that one down after its conclusion. Captain Spartan 04 says, little bit of thoughts. We were going to lose this game before it started to pay back the Bills from last year. I didn't think you were going to lose this game. I never thought you had a shot to lose this game. And finally, I see a couple of comments. You guys didn't use the hashtag Louie Tee Live. If you want your comment read, you have to use the hashtag Louie Tee Live. But I see both of you are asking me about the defense. So I will briefly talk about the Steelers defense in this game and moving forward. I think that this defense has the ability to really be dangerous late in the season. Again, health is the biggest key. Ryan Shazier, for me, is the key to this defense. When he's healthy, when he's right, this defense is tough to deal with because of the amount of speed. You see Bud Dupree starting to come on and starting to chase guys down. That's elite speed there. Bud Dupree, elite speed. Timmons is a guy that is just a consummate professional. Artie Burns coming on, got a pick in this game. He's starting to come on at the cornerback position. I'm really feeling your rookie Sean Davis at the safety position. It's all starting to come together. Ross Cockrell playing with a little bit of confidence. William Gay had a pick six negated by a penalty on Artie Burns for holding. But William Gay, a solid player in the slot. This is a defense that I think Stephon Tuitt played some good football again in this game, has been solid all season. This is a defense that I feel like if they can just stay healthy, those young guys starting to mature with the core group of speed linebackers that you have, This is a dangerous Pittsburgh Steelers defense that's starting to get it, okay? They still got a ways to go, but they're starting to put the pieces in place, and the young guys are starting to mature right before our very eyes at the right time of the season. Steelers defense going to be the key because we know offensively this team can get it done. Defensively, however, can you stop teams? You saw what you did against the Giants last week. There was a lot of crying about the officiating. I didn't see anything wrong with what the Steelers did. Physical football wins this time of the season. Steelers starting to play that brand of football that's going to lend itself to doing what I said they were going to do before the season started, and that's represent the AFC in the Super Bowl. Now, they still got a ways to go. They're not the best team in the AFC, but they're taking steps towards being in a position that when the postseason starts, no one's going to want to play the Pittsburgh Steelers. So, those are my thoughts on the defense right now. They're coming along. They're taking steps in the right direction. At this point of the season, you don't want any steps backwards because there are no times for backward steps right now. You need to be moving forward, and that's what this Steelers defense is doing currently with some of the guys stepping up, making plays like a Artie Burns making a play in this game, like a Bud Dupree chasing down a very mobile and active Tyrod Taylor outside the pocket. These are the types of plays you need to be made, and that's what's happening with this Steelers defense. Sean Davis with the interception last week versus the Giants. It's starting to come together. Guys are playing with confidence like a Ross Cockrell. I think this defense is starting to come along at the right time for the Pittsburgh Steelers. That's going to do it for this breakdown. Lockdown coverage, week number 14 in the National Football League. If it happens in the National Football League, whether big or small, we cover it all here in the lab room on the Louie Tee Network. Come back and join me as I got plenty more games to break down in week 14. Steelers get it done, 27-20, move to 8-5, take sole possession of first place. Again, pending the Monday Night Football outcome. Ravens lose, Steelers remain in first place by themselves. Ravens get a win on the road versus the Patriots. That's scary, and they'll be tied once again atop the AFC North for the Bills. This basically puts a nail in the coffin of their season at 6-7. A lot of questions, not enough answers in Buffalo right now. We'll see what happens, as that seems like that could be a nice little drama to wrap up their season in Orchard Park. I'll see you a little bit later on as these 4 o'clock games end. I got 2 breakdowns for you, Rams, Falcons, and also I will come back with Packers and Seahawks. I'll see you at the other side of these 4 o'clock games. Have a good one.